Dynasty, open world city building in feudal Japan. Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and I was lucky enough to get into the playtest for this one the other day, where I was able to explore a little bit of this game and about 20% of the map as they offer in the playtest for a game that's very similar to Medieval Dynasty, kind of made by the same people in a way. Sengoku Dynasty, of course, is as I mentioned, a village builder where we have to build not only just a village but multiple villages, and we also have the ability to play co-op in this game too, and nice to see it in the playtest from the dev. So I'm going to show you a little bit around the village, talk a little bit about the story, and show some of the gameplay features for this one, though as it says at the top, it's a work in progress, and there's really a lot of things missing from this game that are kind of basic, like for example images for certain things in your inventory, but it's minor because the most important thing is the gameplay and the things that we're able to do and how we're able to do it. So let's jump into a already in progress game. If you want to see, by the way, how we got to this point in the game, make sure you check back on the channel for our live streams. After you subscribe and turn on the notification bell, don't forget to watch those streams because there's a lot of great juicy uncut gameplay there to really get into the nitty-gritty of all these awesome survival games. All right, let's go ahead and jump in to our first look in a video for Sengoku Dynasty. Let's go. Good morning, and as the sun comes up in Sengoku Dynasty, we enter an era that is very close to, or I guess a time that's close to winter. Day 4 out of 5 for this season. This game does have seasons. This game does have combat, defenses, raiders, battles, and more. This is the starting area of the game where you and a friend wash up on shore after being at sea for quite some time trying to escape conflict and war, but even that has made its way to this island. Although not as brutal, you're able to rebuild a friendly nearby village and make it your own, and there are some beautiful pathways and well, trees and plant life and flora and fauna all over this map. I'm going to walk into a town now that I've started to build myself, although it is kind of like the initial city that you get to build that is destroyed after an invasion and some conflict and war, of course, and it's all toasted, roasted, and falling apart. So basically you grab your trusty axe, start building buildings and tearing down old ones and remodeling everything. Our current goal on the left side is to rebuild a bridge, and that's going to be a kind of more of a monumental goal, where it's going to take a lot of materials and a lot of time in order to build something that will connect this village to the rest of the cities in the map. Now if we take a look back at that map again real quick, this is only 20% of the map that we're able to explore at the moment. Everything covered in clouds is kind of where we can't go at the moment. And yeah, it's much, much bigger than this. But there are areas to hunt. There are other villages to trade with. Of course, with it being co-op and multiplayer up to 4 players, everybody can build their own village and kind of do other projects and work on other things. You could have somebody farming and completely dealing with all the food in your city, while somebody else is working on, for example, building stuff and gathering materials. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look here at all the citizens in the town. We can get quests from everybody. This is kind of the initial starting area where we can chat with all of our people and see what they might need and give us other goals and quests. And these homes here I built myself, the tier 1 homes, where our workers not sleeping on the mat, but yeah, all the people in our town will sleep here and eat here, and we can give them shelter to where they can then eventually start families. But of course, we can assign everybody in this village to work on different things, like for example logging and fishing and maybe even mining and stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and get started by building a house today. And this second house here we built for somebody's sister who moved into the town as well. And as we complete more quests, we'll get a lot of reputation and more people will want to join our little city. So if we take a look again at our inventory, we do see that we have quite a few little things here. And the things with 3 dots are items that the developers have not yet put I guess I was going to say animation, but like a little picture over, like a thumbnail of what an item is. Of course, we got everything here from iron ore to charcoal to even stones and mushrooms and other things that we can find along the way. And there are elements of combat in this too, as I mentioned. We could be attacked by all sorts of things. Bears, maybe? I'd hate to mention it, but anyway, we're going to cut down a tree here and see if we can start building a house. We can build houses out of different materials. We can build some things out of stone. We can also build things out of different types of wood. In this case, a Japanese red pine conifer, but there are other trees that are a little bit more rare and harder to cut down. That might give us more. All right, we just broke our axe, but easily in the field, we can go ahead and make a new one. And then we can go ahead and equip that. And this game does not seem to have a carry limit at the moment, but has what seems to be an inventory limit. Now, in Medieval Dynasty, you were able to carry a bunch of logs around, but at a certain weight, you wouldn't be able to carry any more. But here I think they're opting for an inventory system that can be expanded upon by getting more like leather and things like that in order to then make a backpack. And you could probably do that for you and all your friends as well. Now, in this game, you don't necessarily have to have the AI doing stuff for you, too. You could also have your friends, like I mentioned, go hunting and fishing and farming, but the housing of AI and getting them to do a lot of stuff for you and with you is incredibly important. Now, in order for them to do the work, we have to build houses for them to stay in and move in, and then this building here with the, instead of the roofs there, it's got the thatch. That building there with all the grass is basically going to be where we store all the food for everybody to do work. And so there's some stuff in storage here already, and there's some mushrooms and berries inside. And once we've got that going, people can then start working and doing things on the daily. Let's go ahead and find a new spot to build a house. So we pull out our hammer. We can see that there's a lot of stuff in this game in comparison to the other versions of the Dynasty series. Of course, we have the basic campfire, the ability to build things for storage and for sleeping. You could do that out in the field if, you know, for example, somebody's far away from the village and it's nighttime and everybody wants to sleep. You can, of course, build that tent. Or if you're playing single player, it's another great way to skip the night, too. And then the special project construction site. I'll show you that in a bit, but there are more quote-unquote monuments that we can build, bigger construction projects that are very special, like, for example, the bridge that will open up new opportunities for your village. Speaking of the village, too, we have ourselves the village structures, so things like being able to build lighting and fences. We have torii gates and wells and things related to farming, and guard towers and bells that will sound the alarm for when trouble comes. And I think also with the guard tower, we might be able to assign somebody to become a guard and work there, or at least it's a stand for you to stand in and fire off bow and arrow, or possibly throw spears. We also have the ability to build housing, up to 3 different houses. The simple house and standard house are kind of just nice houses, basic shelter and a nice house for people to live in. But if you want them to start families, the large house is what you want to build. So that way they can have 2 adults and 2 children. You can have 2 people become a, you know, you can have them move in from different villages in these small houses and then have the couple's bungalow where they can have up to 2 kids and then eventually move out from there. We also have production buildings like, for example, wood cutting, forging, mining. We also have hunter's hut, fisherman's hut, smithies, tailor workshops, small breweries, and paper makers. A lot of these are locked either from it being a playtest / demo or that we don't have the requisite XP, or maybe we have to buy the blueprints like we did in Medieval Dynasty. We also have service buildings like a tavern, so that's a place where we can, I think, make better food, and also we can serve drinks, which we can produce here in the, there's a sake brewery here somewhere, I believe. Other storage buildings, we have general storage and food storage, the food storage you saw over there to our right. We can also store water for the winter, wood, ice, and some stuff for the armory. Ice, interesting. We can actually mine that in the winter months now and use it to preserve things, and we can store ice in that building and then also, you know, store other things with that, like food. We have furniture. That's right. We can put down regular furniture, and we have also production buildings furniture too. Some of which the buildings need furniture in order to function. Once you complete building, like for example Sawmill, you're gonna have to decorate it a little bit with decorations that are actually kind of required, like things for storage. Like once you complete the building, you then have to put down some shelves and some other stuff. We have different types of light sources, weapons racks, wall decorations, sake bottle, simple katanas, yaris, and other weapons, and even targets that we can put down to fire at ourselves. And I think I wanted to see one more building here, the brewery. So yeah, all that stuff we can put down. So there's lots to build and lots to decorate with, and a lot of layers to that. So it's good. The building methods are quite in depth. Now I wanted to show you just building a house. We're going to get started by building our first house today, but keep in mind that how we build this house is going to be how a lot of the buildings in this game work. So earlier we showed you, like for example, the woodworker's hut, and so the woodworking will be something that is operated, I believe, by a water wheel, so that way it can run the saw. Don't mind me, I'm just going to grab some food here and have some stuff to snack on for when we start our construction. Now, there's a lot of things we can find in the wild just around the village to get started. Wine berries, for example, are just a natural food source that we can eat. We can also find mushrooms, and we can find stones and sticks and whatnot, and very useful building materials to get started with. Now, I think we can also build storage boxes to put in our own home, and I haven't yet built my own house, so I'm going to do that then. We'll go ahead and get started by placing down a blueprint for that. Maybe over somewhere where it's not going to block access to things like grass. I want the grass to be able to regrow so we can continue to make buildings. That might require a thatch roof. This would be a good spot for it right here. Go ahead and move some of these out of the way. Giving us more sticks, which we can use for tools. Maybe even arrows, right? Or bows, perhaps. Alright, me, the village elder. So let's go ahead and build a building. A simple house. And that tree is in the way there, so we'll have to cut that down. Now, a great thing about cutting down trees in this game, which I didn't show you just moments before, is that some of the trees and the logs that we gather can be thrown down on the ground and processed. So, like, for example, we have this stone, I believe it's an adze, or an adze, and we should be able to turn that into planks, and or we can take bark off of logs and then turn it into firewood that way too. So let's go ahead and open up our buildings menu. Housing, simple house. Should be able to put this one down now if we can find a flat enough area. It's a little bigger than I thought, actually, so let's go ahead and move that out of the way. Now, again, trees will regrow too. We have the red pine stump here, and if we want to get rid of that so it never grows again, we can dig stumps out of the ground. So both a axe to cut the tree down and a shovel to make sure it never comes back again, which is really helpful if you're clearing out a forested area, so that way you can build a farm field. That's going to be your only way to get that out of there. So if you find a perfect spot for a field, but it's overgrown by trees, you can kind of change that out. All right, we had some hidden items here, like, for example, those stumps. Let's try again to place a simple house, and there we go. We can actually do it now. Now, it looks like this simple house is going to be way too high above the ground. Like, for example, we're going to have to jump to get up there. But once the construction's complete, the game will give us the courtesy of building like a little stairwell there. And I believe we'll be able to build roads. If it's very similar to medieval Dynasty in that way, we should be able to do that. It's a pretty good spot for a house, I'd say. Not bad. So one thing that I really like about this is we do have the option to customize the house. And also, if we put the hammer away, the blueprint completely disappears. So if you're trying to take some nice screenshots, you don't have all this in the way, but you can see what you're doing. Ooh, looks like it's into the ground a little bit. So, yeah, the first thing we're going to do is prepare by putting down a few of the logs. On the left side, you see where it says any log. Now we require 4 more. And there's multiple steps, including building the foundation, then the walls, then we have to build the roof, and we have to then, after that, put down a sleeping mat and the small sunken hearth, so that way we can cook and sleep and just do those basic amenities. We're going to go for this tree up here, too. The red pine. Now, of course, eventually we can mine iron ore and then start making iron tools, which are probably going to be a lot more, not only durable, but are going to be a lot more effective in their efforts to cut down a tree. Less swings, because it's a lot more sharp. Cool. Alright, grabbing a few more logs. And it seems like we now have 4, so we'll head back down to the construction site. It's a pretty good spot to build. For the playtest so far, it's been pretty nice. I have yet to test out multiplayer, but I do think it would be interesting to break into teams in this game. 4 people in one area is going to be a lot of people to feed. It almost reminds me of what it's like to get started in Raft, where you have so many people at the beginning of the game and not enough materials to gather, but spreading out will be good. Looks like we can put down some planks now. And we need 4 more. So we could drop some of this, oh, it's actually firewood here. This is used for construction later on of certain projects. We'll go ahead and store it next to this. Almost looks like a regular log. I think some of the things look a little too, they're too matchy-matchy, and it's hard to tell what one log is versus another. But again, not final. But the music is great. In fact, there's quite a few different soundtracks that will play based on what's going on in the map. I think it might change soundtracks or feeling based on the time of year, the season, and then also if there's storms, violent storms can blow through, and I think it is more likely to, during a violent storm, that you might actually have a house or something damaged. So durability of buildings will be affected by not only the winter storms, but also like a rainstorm. Alright, we earned a lunch break. One thing that I've learned here is that we can take, like, for example, the wine berries and then just spam the eat button, and you can see the green bar on the left filling up. I believe Medieval Dynasty had both food and water, and in this case I did find a bamboo bottle, which allows me to carry things like medicine, they say, but I don't see a need to actually drink in this game, only eating. But it would be interesting if there was some sort of mechanic where if you ate and drink, it would just kind of all be a part of the same little bar of, like, sustenance. That'd be totally fine with me. Okay, well, we need to go ahead and drop down some logs here. And maybe make some planks out of these. Now, this is not going to be the end of us seeing planks. But I do like how we can bring all the construction materials here. Again, if you're playing multiplayer, you could have somebody go out and gather the logs and drop them off while the architect is then converting those logs into planks if needed. And the planks, when converted from a log to a plank, they will give you additional materials such as bark, which I believe is used for possibly tanning, creating a leather, essentially. Let's go ahead and continue to cut down these trees. I've got to say, this is really on par with Medieval Dynasty with kind of how it looks and feels, although, again, playtest versus, full release. And I think also some of the things in this game were done first. I think what we're about to receive from Medieval Dynasty was kind of done in this game too, and I think they're kind of somewhat different developer teams, although they're kind of in the same house, like there's the same kind of the same company, and so they share a lot of the same knowledge and experience from their previous projects. And so I'm thinking that things going on in Medieval Dynasty that are new, like for example the new co-op mode and new map, were also kind of thought of here, as they were able to design a new game, but then also experiment with something old. Although I will say that's still pretty new game. Alright, there we go. We've collected some bark from here. We have a log conifer. If we harvest that again, we get planks. So kind of cool to be able to just out of nowhere convert them logs from one thing to another. Okay, let's go ahead and leave those logs here. Grab our hammer. And we'll finish the floor now. And now we can do all the walls. So I believe we do get an option to change the walls if we want to. We can modify the materials, so we can do a deciduous tree or a premium conifer, although I don't have any of those at the moment. I think there might also be a way to... there was a way where it says, just under where it says 12% at the bottom, it says 1 out of 3 entrances limit. I believe we're able to build houses that have, like for example, you could have a side entrance, like here, and then also maybe a back, like a door in the back to exit from one side of the road to another, or have like a little yard, something like that. All right, let's go ahead and continue to build. So we've also activated some perks here, and the more that we do things in this game, for example, if we do a lot of building, then we will get perks that are more related to building. So if we go to the Dynasty tab, excuse me, I think it's actually under Legend, Way of the Leader, Craftsman, Warrior, and Monk. Some of the things that we do will give us more perks in those fields. So if you have somebody out hunting all the time, they will get some more hunting-related perks. And if you have somebody at base all the time building, they could get some perks that give them a, like, for example, less stamina used whenever they craft, and I have some of those too. Another good thing about multiplayer is I don't believe you need to play multiplayer in order to continue the save. And if you start in single player, I think you can open it up for multiplayer too. You're just loading it either to the public or a solo game, I believe. Alright, let's go ahead and try this out. Now, I believe this is also a game that's going to be coming to console, although I'm not sure when. And I believe it's also the same for Medieval Dynasty, already being a part there with the update coming out for console as well. Oh no, in order to make a hammer we gotta go, you bet, go get another log, although we already have one. Okay, so eventually, yeah, we'll be able to make iron hammers and iron tools. They'll last longer. Alright, looks like we need more planks. Back to get more trees. So, I believe the population of the village right now can be up to 6 people. But once we're done, instead of cutting down a tree, I got a backup plan. But yeah, we can actually have a village up to 30 people. So I think each village that you design, you can name, give a logo to, and then have up to like 30 people living within that village, which is a lot of people. That's a lot of people to feed and a lot of people to assign to different jobs. And some of those could be children, but once the city gets populated enough, of course, you could start a new village if you wanted to. Our stone axe was destroyed again. Alright, let's do it again. So what we're doing here is we're demolishing an old house. This is giving us things like charcoal, sticks, and then also I'm getting planks from this. So the reason I'm taking these houses down is so we can easily get a plank. Now again, this is the war-torn village that we saw, or that I mentioned, that we would see when we walk in at the start of the game, and then chatting with people who live around here. They basically want you to try to get things going again. So build us some houses, make some food. You know how it is, the locals. Oh, hey, the new guy's here. Let's do absolutely nothing to help and make demands. And that's exactly what they do. Alright, back to our hammer then. Now we have repurposed some logs, well, planks from other homes into the construction of this little house. Beautiful. We need stone on the roof, some sticks. We need 8 planks. You can see it counting down on the left side. And then we'll need to go grab 2 more logs. Generate our stamina again. Alright. So we just got to go cut down 1 tree at least. And that will be my house complete. Now, it is pretty easy in this game as it is in Medieval Dynasty, which is a game kind of set in medieval, I'm going to just say Poland, where you can very easily manage your village by just telling everybody what to do with kind of the click of a button. As I mentioned before, with people moving from house to A to house B, you can get a lot of people in your city quickly and then organize them very effectively too. So some of the management systems are pretty straightforward, where it's like click on person, you can see information about where they live, you can tell them maybe perhaps to cook some extra meals or something like that. For other construction jobs, even if somebody doesn't have a job, you could have them preparing meals at home that they can then share with everybody else. It's kind of like a communal kitchen in a way. Let everybody else survive. That's strange. Oh, that's a root of that tree. Alright, those trees will grow back. And we're going to finish this house now. Oh, things look pretty damn good, actually. Alright, roof is complete. And now we'll just do the hearth, which will require a little bit of the firewood that I just put down. And we'll need some more stones. But let's finish that sleeping mat. And we'll need some plant fibers for that. So we'll do a little bit of work. We need up to 10 plant fibers. Or rather, straw. I don't think there's a way to make more than 1, is there? Now, it looks like we have to do it 1 at a time. In Medieval Dynasty, the developers have solved the problem of doing this by just basically opening the menu once and then hitting make multiple, I believe. So, it is possible eventually for us to be able to make barns, and we can make houses near mines, for example, so workers don't have to work or walk so far to work. And then, of course, we can switch people out as needed. There we go. So just for this, we need, what was it, stone, 5, and then more firewood. Actually, we have the firewood on us. we'll need to make a little bit more firewood. And to do that, we need to... Now, this is a little awkward. To make firewood, we need to drop a log down on the ground from our inventory, or we could cut that down from the forest. And we need to go and basically shave the log and then hit it again with an axe to make it into firewood. Then we get 3 from that, so that completes that. And now just 5 stones, which we can find either by grabbing our pickaxe and going to a large stone, which is under number 6. Which this one doesn't seem to count, or we can find them on the road. Now our pickaxe is about to break, but again, you can make if you're dealing with stone tools, you could just make multiple. You're probably going to use everything double at some point before you get to iron. Now on these roads, ambushes can be hidden, and this is where the bandits and whatnot will attack us. But there's other people out here too, just kind of random people that you can chat with and possibly take jobs. But there's some nice scenery to see here too, and shrines that you can find. So exploring will definitely give you benefit, because by finding those shrines, you'll get benefits from when the time comes to deal with some of the monk quests that give you things like plus 10% more stamina for the next 5 minutes, which is really good for building a village or going into combat. Could give you an advantage that the enemy might not get. Okay, well, I think we have enough stones now in order to finish off this hearth. No bamboo needed, even though we built a bamboo stairwell. Hey, look at that. And we have another house that's complete. So we can sleep here if we want to. We can also sleep with the other people, too, in their bed. I know, a little weird, but like you can sneak next to them and use it as a sleeping point. But I wanted to go now and show you something that I really liked about this game when I discovered it, was the ability to do large construction projects. Now, this does mean that there's a possibility of building something big in the future of the game, something along the lines of perhaps a temple, or maybe a statue, or more bridges, or defensive structures, maybe like a large lighthouse or something on the coast to signal to ships. The possibilities are endless, but the rewards are also very nice too. And this is what we're talking about on the left side, Road to Renewal. They're asking us now to go and build a, well, essentially a bridge, and then demolish all the supporting structures to build that afterwards. But it is a pretty large-scale project to be able to build a bridge. It's a lot of work, actually. And what I thought would be maybe just, deliver 15 planks and 10, logs or something like that has turned out to be a seasonal ordeal. So, here's how this works. The building that we see over there on the left, just behind us, I'm just going to grab some food, don't mind me, but the building that you see right in front of me there is something that we had to construct in order to then start on a large construction project of the bridge being built across the river on the road. And so this kind of marks the point where now we can start getting our people to not just focus on the basic survival, which it might be a little bit more easier for you to do, but to actually build a bridge and open up more of the world. Now, we could easily build a forger shack and then assign somebody to it, and then we'll just get unlimited food, and that's good, but we can almost do things faster ourselves. And so this required, after we constructed this, one person to be assigned to this building, and then we also need to feed them so that they can focus full-time on the labor. So in order for them to get meals, we can basically have that delivered to the town hall, or that little storage building. So this is great, like a destroyed bridge, not cool, the enemy army destroyed that, but we're getting ready to rebuild that. So the first thing we did was we had to get a lot of materials, like 40 planks and 20 logs, and create this large bridge project repair site. And we have now somebody working here, or they should be. I want to assign a worker, Ekio, and we can give them minimal food or maximum food, to which it makes a difference of about 5% faster for double the food. It's not, doesn't really seem worth it, but it looks really great. We were supposed to build this, and we have to trust the AI to then walk to this workplace every morning and then get to work on processing those materials. Now, anytime that you have a fishing dock in this game, or a like a logging camp or something, the workers will actually walk to that logging camp. So if you've created one along the road, down the road, you'll kind of see people in the mornings basing that knowledge off of what's available in Medieval Dynasty. But anyway, somebody should be walking to this construction site on the daily and then getting ready to pull all this old stuff out of the... oh, did the bridge change slightly? Wait, something seems different. Am I right or wrong? Anyway, yeah, so this is an area that will eventually unlock possible trade, because then the wagons and whatnot that we could trade from other villages will come through here. Wow, look at that beautiful water and stuff. But the game looks pretty damn cool. Now, they want you to balance your focus on things like, for example, Mother Nature, war, and like spirituality and leadership. So there's some goals and some quests that kind of focus on the things that you would not only need to do as a warrior, but also a leader. And sometimes leaders have to be warriors, and sometimes warriors have to be leaders. And it kind of does a good job of simulating that. The game, as I mentioned, has hunting. You can, of course, make all sorts of different weapons that way. But it seems like in order to go through the whole process of building multiple houses like I just showed you, and then repairing them during snowstorms or rainstorms, and building all the advanced things, and finding people to work in those areas, that's going to be very important. And, of course, working on your legend. So the longer that it takes you to actually have yourself a... the longer it takes you to get the reputation, the less people you're going to have in the camp. So, you can build buildings all day long, but it is more about that reputation and about questing that will get you everything that you need to build a big old village. Building the buildings is easy. Staffing them and keeping people fed is not. And, up until you got the forger and or fishing dock and or hunting cabin, that's going to be the way it is. All right, I wanted to head back all the way to the village now, and boy, I really like the way things look. I think it looks really good. It's almost like, in a way, every once in a while, I always think to myself, this reminds me of the forest. Just a little bit, especially the forest, too, with how some of the large rivers look so nice, but unfortunately, we don't really have log mechanics that are that good. Boy, yeah. I would say that Sons of the Forest is probably one of the greatest games that I've ever played in terms of like log physics. Like it's so satisfying to build stuff out of wood in that game. Seriously. All right, we're gonna go back all the way to town, and I want to try to load winter to see what it'll look like. This will be our first look, my first look at winter in the game, and it should be the first day of winter. Now, does it snow? Maybe not. Maybe it'll be 5 days of winter, to where 2 will just be snowy. Now, the way this game works, too, for the seasons is there are 5 days per season, so 5 for spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And you can skip a day by, of course, sleeping in your bed, but you can also skip an entire season by going to the bell and then basically ringing the bell. So it's one of those little bypass things where if you're just waiting for some rice to grow or something in your first few years and you don't want to wait multiple days, you can just do that, and it's kind of a shortcut for all that. All right, move over. I'm sleeping. Ooh, a transitional scene. Now, this game has a lot of art and cutscenes like this that really simulates the bridge being built. Oh, I'll be damned. We did it. Wow. I did not think that was working correctly, but apparently, wow, look at their food. Whoa, look at the food number, 1,000. Yeah, that's got to be a glitch or something. But anyway, can't close this menu. What's going on? It's like a storm. Well, this is anyway the stat screen on how many people live here and what they're up to. I think there's a storm going on outside. I'm not able to close this menu. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Ooh, and the music changing too. Nice. So, it should be the first day of winter. Winter, I guess, doesn't necessarily mean snow, but as I was hinting at, it might snow. Yeah, maybe it'll snow on day 3 and 4, and then go back to rain on day 5, and then we're into spring. But it's a violent time. So that bridge is complete. Cutscenes for completing major objectives like that. Cutscenes for if we are going to make offerings to gods. Pretty damn cool, actually. And it's great to see all the seasons and whatnot. So now we can chat with our friend here, our colleague who kind of showed us this village from the start. And we made it. The bridge is ready. He's going to be happy. Hopefully there's voice acting in the future. Thank you for joining the network and hardware tests of Sengoku Dynasty. There we go. So that's when the story ends after building the bridge, but I think we could probably go right back and just avoid completing that or whatnot. Or, as it says here, we've completed the kind of the story content that's available for the playtest. Look at that beautiful building. That must be the tavern or something. But I like it. So even after you complete the playtest, yeah, we could just keep building houses and then try to find more people. Looks like we've just finished this task, but what should be happening next is our dynasty level has now jumped up to 7, and now we can have 8 people in the town. So we have to build, now I have housing for 3 technically. 2 of the houses are taken, and the one that I live in I could just give up for somebody else. So we can continue to get more people living in the town by building more houses. Then we need to find where those people are and then recruit them. But anyway, that's just a small taste of what Sengoku Dynasty has to offer. Let me know what you think about the game so far and what you want to see next. Let me know what you think about what you may have seen for combat or other videos or trailers, or what you thought of this video. I'd love to know. So make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Turn on that notification bell, and I will see you next time. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. I'm going to bed. Good night.